Testimony, March 3rd. I had the privilege of going out to eat with my grandpa. Took me out to eat somewhere we've been going for years. I took him there and bought him food for my birthday once, and just he wanted to take me there. And while we were there, I met this very interesting individual, an older fellow, and he had a master's of divinity, and he was speaking very highly and not speaking very highly of Jesus. In fact, he was using his words to prove his own perspective, and it just didn't seem like it was honoring God for me to be quiet, and I felt led to say something. And while this was all happening, the thought of Romans 12:3 came to my head, and it was, think not higher than you ought to of yourself. You know, it's good to humble ourselves and be open to what others might have for us. And so I was minorly offended and kind of hurt, I guess. And I kindly conversated with him. My grandpa, he told me not to because, well, he always just wants to control everything. And it's not about control with God. It's actually about the opposite. It's about submission. Also knowing he gives what we have need of in that hour. Oh yeah, that kind of made me feel a little more confident in it. That's a verse 2. He started talking about Hinduism, and how Jesus went through and spoke to Gandhi, spoke of Gandhi. I did speak of Gandhi, I'm sorry, in that moment, because that's what I knew about Hindus, and I knew what Pastor Epi had taught me about how oh shoot, I gotta be looking at the paper. I want to be looking up at be professional. Yeah, that's, of course, how could I forget that? If we all followed our Christ as we ought to, we would all be Christians. It's true. Because, I was equipped by choosing God. Like, literally making the effort and putting forth the energy time and time again. The only reason why I knew half of the things I needed to know in that time was because I chose God. Very thankful for it. But Gandhi said that. We can't all be perfect though, right? Because of the weight of the world and responsibilities and money in our families. Sounds like a lot of excuses though, because we could make that effort and we could do it. So he makes us perfect though. That's something important to know, is that we don't have to be that weight and that pressure on our shoulders. It doesn't have to be so. God gives us an easy yoke in here. He gives us a peace as well. And he teaches us how to keep that peace. And so he also later on talks about Buddha. And he tells me that Buddha spent time over there. Jesus spent time over there. And I thought to myself for just a second, who doesn't learn from every instance that they go through and obtain wisdom? And so Buddha, he knew something about the mind's eye and its capability, right? I like to think it goes natural to supernatural, right? That's something that popped into my head. And the manifestation with focus. He didn't believe himself God, Buddha, but he's hailed as an idol now. He was a leader put in a place and a time to lead his people. Same as Gandhi. But the inner peace they knew is fragile. They didn't know sin, right? Going across from one to another And it says in the Bible, peace be unto you. And when you lose your peace, it's for a reason. We're supposed to recover and learn properly. And I like how Buddha, when he focused on things, he focused on the human capabilities. But Jesus, what he did is he focused and humbled himself to God, who can do all things, being God, praying at every corner. It opens doors to do things amazing, like controlling the seas and the wind. And he knew the perfect form of meditation, being in prayer to the only one who can. We can't just rely on ourselves for everything. And when we do, we get a little headstrong. He tried to cause me multiple times to stumble, but I was thankful because God has always equipped me with the answers. And it was all about giving him that time and building that relationship. Anyway, he continued to control the conversation, and he ended with Constantine and Paul. And he looked upon the wrongdoings, which any person outside the faith probably would look at somebody's wrongdoing and judge them for it. You're not good enough. You've done this. Which God's the only one that sees the heart. He's the only one who can judge truthfully and righteously. And so Paul, being in the position of a Roman, though he persecuted the church and the church suffered greatly, think of how he felt, right? Inside, he needed redemption too, especially after coming to the revelation of Jesus and it all being true, and he's seeing it. And so he spends all the rest of his time traveling from church to church and trying to give his testimony to the Romans, right? Being tried, probably justly, I don't know, but with what he's seen, God's seen it, and he recovered. That was all off script. I hope it's acceptable. Constantine was the other thing he brought up. And the using the Bible and the tax. And I just thought of, think of the responsibilities as a king. War, famine, all these things you need to protect your subjects from, and putting that in place. So I couldn't see his point too much there. He just wanted to have his own ill-fed perspective. And then, not to mention the real reason for tithes, you're showing the love of God over the love of money. On top of that, when you feel the church, you're feeling outreach, you're feeling the youth development, you're feeling literally reaching out and helping the poor and the needy, like all the things that God teaches us, the church is supposed to be doing. And so that's the key. I've seen a functional church. I've seen, I don't need to say anymore, but I've seen how it feels to be a part of a real church that does care. And they all have Jesus in their heart. So their motives should be aligned with God, because that's what we work on. Aligning our heart, our mind, and our soul. How do we think? Do we think about others? Are we pure thought? How's our heart? Is it after God? Is it after the people around us? And then, our soul. Are we focused on the passions of this world? Or are we focused on the passion of Christ? And do we allow him to fuel us and fill us? And if we do, it's probably from walking through those doors.